I love going to the movie theaters. The overall experience of going to the theaters was one of the reasons I knew that they would survive the pandemic. But man, oh man, there are some things about going to the movies that can just ruin the entire experience for all of us movie lovers. In this video, we're going to go over 10 things in no particular order that we here at FilmStack hate about going to the theaters. This video isn't meant to be about us shaming others. It's more meant to poke fun at certain things and spread some of the good movie theater etiquette so that we can all enjoy the experience that little bit more. But before we jump in, I want to ask all of you to subscribe to FilmStack if you haven't already, because if you don't, I will wish all of these things I'm about to mention upon you. You've been warned. With that out of the way, cue the intro. There is nothing that grinds my gears more than people who are loud eaters in the movie theaters. And I'm not just talking about loud chewing. I can handle that to a certain degree. It's the people who decide to bring food from the outside that is extremely loud and annoying. The snacks provided at the movie theaters are already loud enough. You don't need to bring your own bag of Lay's potato chips or Sun chips and open them during the quietest part of the movie. Do you not realize how loud those bags are? It's ridiculous. The worst movie theater experience I've ever had that was caused by loud food was when I went to see the movie Arrival. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, that movie is very quiet. There are a lot of silent parts in that movie, and it's part of the charm. It adds to the overall allure and mystery of what is unfolding in front of your eyes. But nope, I got someone 2 to 3 seats down from me with some really loud food. It got to the point that I had to go up to the person and tell them to quiet down. But what was that food, you may ask? They had a bag of pistachios, and they were cracking the shells and throwing them into an empty Sprite can. Who brings pistachios to a movie theater? What's next, walnuts? Shoes are dirty. They are what stands, pun intended, between you and the ground. And feet can sometimes be pretty stinky. So just because the seat next to someone is free, it doesn't mean that you should put your feet up on that seat. It's just bad etiquette. It gets even worse when someone tries to put their feet on the top of your headrest. Fortunately, this has never happened to me, because if it did, that person would be going home with one less shoe. On the same note, please don't kick the back of the chair of the person in front of you. It's very distracting and annoying. I don't know about you, but when I go to the movies, I go there to watch the movie, not talk about the movie or some other topic. And I'd bet all my money that 99% of people are in the same boat as me. So for those of you who aren't, you may think you're whispering to the person next to you, but trust me, it's a lot louder than you think. Now, I'm not saying don't get hyped and laugh and say things like, "Oh shit!" under your breath when something crazy happens. I'm just saying don't have a full-fledged conversation during the movie. During the commercials and trailers, by all means, chat away. But during the movie, please zip it. Now let's talk about the people who use their phone in theaters. Luckily for me, I've never had the experience of sitting next to or even near someone who is outright using their phone during a movie. But I have experienced the person who uses their phone in their jacket or the person who uses the phone in their purse. It's better than outright pulling your phone out during a movie, but you have to realize phones are bright. Even if you're using your phone in your purse or jacket, it lights up the whole area and is really distracting. If it's not a big enough emergency to step out of the movie and make a phone call, then it's not a big enough emergency to use it during the movie. On the same topic of using your phone, there are those people who come into the theater after the lights are already out and try to find their seat with their flashlight. No problem, I get it. But when you start pointing that flashlight directly in my eyes, basically blinding me for a few minutes, what gives? I love horror movies. And as I've mentioned before in my videos, I'm a tough guy. So nothing scares me, ever. But I understand. Some people are more jumpy than others. People scream during horror movies. People laugh during comedies. I love all of that because it adds to the entire experience. But what I don't love is when you have some teenagers screaming unnecessarily throughout the entire movie. And I don't mean like, holy crap, something scary happened type screaming. I mean like top of your lungs running away from a murderer screaming. Like, my ears are bleeding, my eardrums are officially broken type screaming. Why? It ruins the movie for others and it's not funny. I remember watching Conjuring 2 and there were 2 teenage girls behind me who were screaming so much that I was more scared of when they would scream next than I was of the movie itself. That's not a good position to be in. And it wasn't just me, because someone ended up telling them to quiet down. That one person who either knows the underlying story of the movie or has already seen it before and feels the need to either explain, spoil, or just flex their knowledge throughout the entire movie. I'm talking the comic book expert. I'm talking the person who's seen the movie 2 or 3 times before. I'm talking about that friend who did all their research going into the movie or read the plot points. Thankfully, this doesn't happen to me that often because I tend to watch movies with a small group of people, but I have seen and heard about this before. And this one's similar to the know-it-all, but I'm sure all of us have that one friend who makes like a million different predictions about what's going to happen in the movie. They basically pull a Doctor Strange and list every single possible scenario that could happen before going to see that movie, and when it does finally happen, they have to tell you, I told you that would happen. I predicted that. No, you didn't. If I tell you tomorrow it's going to be either sunny, cloudy, rainy, warm, or cold, or snowing, and one of those things happens, I did not predict the weather. Stop overthinking it. Stop trying to prove that you knew what would happen. You most likely just got lucky. Just enjoy the movie. This one isn't too bad, but it's irked me a few times in the past, and it doesn't have anything to do with the people watching the movie, but the movie theaters themselves. It's when I'm watching a movie and I can hear the movie next door during moments my movie is quiet. I go to a theater that has a lot of auditoriums. This theater also has an IMAX and Ultra AVX, so the sound's a booming. And when I watch movies in smaller auditoriums, usually indie films, I can hear and feel the movie next door sometimes. Again, it's not a huge deal because it rarely lasts longer than a few seconds, but it can still take you out of the movie you're watching. It's all about the immersion. When I go to a movie and enter the actual auditorium only to see that the entire theater is empty and the movie is about to begin, it's like seeing the most beautiful sight in the world. I hear the heavenly choirs and imagine myself watching the movie all alone in the auditorium. I pick a seat and I think this will be good. I sit down and then boom, another person enters and picks the seat right next to me. The entire theater is empty. Why did you choose the seat right next to me? Now, I'm in a weird position because I want to move so that I could sit alone with whoever I'm seeing the movie with, but I don't want to make the person feel bad. But why did you pick the seat right next to me when there are hundreds of other seats to choose from? It just doesn't make any sense. Did I start the trend of where people are supposed to sit? Am I sitting next to your favorite seat in the movie theater? If you see a small group of people sitting together, it's most likely not them starting a trend for seating. They probably just want to sit alone. If you're a dude, you'll know what I'm talking about, but if in doubt, just follow the urinal rule when determining where to sit. And finally, we have the shit disturber. This is that group of teens that can finally go to the PG-13 movie alone and want to act all cool. The ones that intentionally do stuff to be, well, a shit disturber. Whether they're just being loud and obnoxious or they're actually throwing stuff, it can get pretty annoying. When I went to see Knives Out in theaters with my brother, who actually runs this channel with me, there was a group of kids who sat in the very front and decided that they would just throw handfuls of Skittles behind them. Why? I don't get it. Were they trying to be funny? You're just wasting precious Skittles. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. This video was meant to be fun and lighthearted. I wanted to vent about some of the things that bother me and other people I know about going to the movies. Movie theaters will always be movie theaters, and there will always be people with bad movie theater etiquette. It's a guarantee. But hopefully some people watching either learned something or were able to relate to some of the things I mentioned. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I also want to hear things that you hate about going to the theater, so make sure to leave a comment. If we get enough ideas for a part 2, we'll make a part 2. Until next time, have a good one.